I'm loving capturing these film-like images, but I definitely need a camera that I can take with me in the trenches or on the trail. So I traded in my Meta Ray-Bans for an Insta360 X5, and things just haven't been the same. And for all the right reasons. We're in Roswell. Wanted to come hiking, wanted to see a waterfall, and today is a great day to finally introduce you guys to my new vlogging camera. The Insta360 X5. Now, you might remember that I had the Meta Ray-Bans. Very quick little mission with those. They're not great. I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, they're cool. I said I was gonna do this longer, elaborate video, but honestly, we got into a situation. We took them. Where did we take them? To the lake, and we were going tubing, and they just were not made for that type of situation. And that was the last day we had the Meta Ray-Bans. So I started thinking,
they will not be missed.
yeah, they won't be missed. I mean, they're kind of cool, but nah. I started thinking it'd be nice to have a camera that's actually like weather resistant, something that I can, you know, kind of bang around a little bit. And I had always secretly wanted to move this vlog from the Osmo Pocket 1 to the Insta360. Other cameras have come into the mix since then, but now we're finally here. Finally, a 360 view, so I can show off some of these beautiful Georgia greens, bring you guys along on some of our adventures for real. I am exhausted, and this is the best way to do it. So we're out going waterfall hunting, so this is the perfect vlog for that.
This water better be mythical.
The waterfall was incredible, but we couldn't stay long. We got there at like 4 and the park closed at sundown. So we had a couple hours, we enjoyed ourselves, but we had to get back. But let's talk a little bit about the Insta360 X5. Now, if you've been around this channel for a bit, then you notice that I really just try to focus on storytelling, not selling you gear. Like, this is what I use. If people ask questions, I'll share it, but I don't care what you buy. I'm actually very excited to finally add a 360 camera to my vlogging setup. It's a camera that I imagined that I would have for a while. And actually about a year ago, I wrote a treatment specifically for a 360 camera. And I've been kind of waiting to make that video, and now I can finally do it. That stuff aside, I want to talk about why I think this might be the ultimate camera, at least for me, for somebody who is trying to really live in the moment, not trying to get caught up in trying to do that aesthetic thing, trying to do that cinematic thing. Yes, I still love that. Yes, that's like a part of my style. But there are definitely moments when I just don't want to do all of that. I want it to be real. I want to bring my viewer along. I want to tell a story about a place, and sometimes there's different ways to capture that. Now, first and foremost, I recently dropped a video talking about how my computer is giving me major issues. It's overheating, and it's causing me to really slow down my ability to edit. And one of the primary reasons why I got the Insta360 X5 is because I kind of want to cut my computer out of the editing process, or at least be able to minimize it by doing some of the heavy lifting with the app. Now, between the DJI Mimo app and the Insta whatever app, if I can reduce my editing workflow to just being on my phone, that is going to significantly reduce the amount of work I have to do on the computer, which hopefully is going to help me to be able to pump videos out faster. But also, because of my hectic schedule, sometimes I don't have the ability to sit down at a computer to edit. So I'm really thinking about the overall. I was talking a bit about systems in my last video, and that's kind of what this is all about. I'm trying to create systems that allow me to actually create things that eliminate bottlenecks, allow my workflow to be seamless. And if I can edit a little bit while I'm on the go, I don't have to spend so much time behind a computer desk. Not to mention, I am a dad and I'm trying to be active. I don't want to really put myself in this position where it's like, hey, I need this isolation to edit on a computer. If we can go to the park and I can kind of work on my edits on my phone, that would just make my life a little bit easier. And hopefully it allows me to create a more sustainable workflow overall. Now, specifically when it comes to lifestyle, I really like to capture the moment in the moment. I really do not want to be sitting there setting up tripods and doing things that take me out of, really experiencing something. And the 360 camera allows me, slightly inconvenient to have to carry that selfie stick around. But other than that, you can kind of set it and forget it. You go on about your day, you do whatever you're doing, and you're just capturing stuff because you have the really nice ability to be able to reframe things in post. And of course, I'm not getting rid of the Osmo. These things are going to work together with me. On the Osmo, yes, you can reframe stuff live in the moment, but what if you didn't have to? Like, what if you could actually do the reframing in post so that way you can actually live the moment? And as someone who wants to live in the moment, that is very attractive to me because it doesn't take me out of what I'm doing. The ability to really get in, grab a couple of B-roll shots before moving on to, whatever the talking head is, whatever I have going on in the scene. I can't explain to you how much of a game changer that is, but that is only possible because I'm not someone who focuses on image quality. Yes, when I'm shooting on this camera, I'm sitting down and I'm using a tripod. I want to get something that looks a little bit nicer, then I'll pop over to this camera. But for the most part, everything I shoot on the Osmo or what I shoot on the X5, like, I'm not really tripping if it's not perfect. Like, it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be good enough to tell my story, and that's really what's most important to me. Now, believe it or not, sometimes I do get shy when I'm out filming. It's a little bit embarrassing, to pull out this camera. I'm a grown man. I got this small child. I don't want to embarrass him. So the other thing is having a 360 camera really keeps me from having to focus on getting that image in the moment. I could just kind of set the camera down, be a little bit more discreet, quite possibly even more discreet than the Osmo Pocket 3, but I'm not really drawing a lot of attention. Now, on the flip side, I will say the fact that the X5 has that big screen on the front, man, if I could make a suggestion to Insta360 on their next version, put some kind of privacy screen. You know how phones have that glass where you can kind of tint it? Like, put that on the next version of the Insta360, because when you take that camera out, people might not notice it, but once they see that blue screen flashing off in the distance, it's going to kind of draw their attention. So I kind of wish there was some way to cover up the screen. I'm probably just going to go ahead and tape mine down so you can't see it, but I get it. You want the touch screen, you want to be able to access everything, you want to be able to see it right from the camera. That's cool, but it's just when you present this camera and maybe you're holding it up high, selfie mode or whatever, it draws a little bit of attention. I'm not going to complain. It's still great. There's sacrifices that you got to make. Now, one feature I had to confirm was that, yes, the Insta360 is compatible with the DJI Mic Mini, which I use, so I didn't have to buy an additional mic. So it's nice to be able to seamlessly go back and forth between the cameras. But the thing is, when you're using it like on a selfie stick and you're sticking out really, really far, well, now you're not going to be able to capture audio as good as you can when you hold it closely. So because of that, I needed a wireless mic, but fortunately, I didn't have to buy one because I already had it. But with all that said, probably one of the more important reasons I got this camera is because I realized I need something that's a little bit more crash proof. Like, I need a camera that's waterproof. I need a camera where I don't have to like baby it, because, for all the wonderful things I say about the Osmo, you've heard me say quite a few times, one, that I've broken my camera. This is now my third Osmo, but two, it's just so delicate. Like, yes, it's a great camera. It's well constructed, but you drop it, it hits the wrong angle, you break the gimbal, it's worthless. Because everything's all in one package, if something happens to it, it's gone. Now, fortunately, I have the DJI Refresh, and they have an amazing return policy where they'll get you a new camera out within like 5 days. But it 100% affects how willing I am to use my camera in certain situations. Whereas with the X5, I don't have that concern at all because it has replaceable lenses. You can just go order some lenses and replace it if you ever damage it in some way. Taking the camera out to a waterfall where there's rocks and people and obstacles and trees definitely makes me nervous. However, knowing that if something happens, I can just order a new lens and pop it on real quick. No concerns. And again, I can just live in the moment knowing that it's going to be okay. Now, I will say, I don't know how important waterproofing actually is. The main thing for me is that I'm in Atlanta and it rains all the time. So you're out just having a regular day and then it rains and then you kind of have to put the camera away. So for that reason, waterproofing is nice. I'm not doing deep sea diving. I'm not going to waterfalls every day. That's probably not that big of a deal. Like, it's nice that it has it, but more importantly, it's because I don't have to put my camera away just because there's a little bit of rain. Now, with all that said, I'm not saying the Osmo is not great. Still love it. Still a great camera. There's going to be moments when I want to punch in. I want to get those tighter shots. I want to blur out the background a little bit. Can't do any of that stuff with the 360 X5. So I need both of them. I love the fact that they can both fit in my pocket. I love that I can jump back and forth between the microphones. I love that I can carry my entire vlogging setup in my pocket. I started vlogging a decade ago and just none of this stuff was really available. So it just made it more cumbersome, less interesting. Like, it took the fun out of it. But the more and more of these tools that I'm implementing to make it seamless and easy and fun, now I'm kind of hitting that stride where my storytelling is only limited by my imagination, and that is a really exciting place to be. Now, this isn't me plugging the Insta360. You can get whatever you want. You can get nothing. You can use your phone, as I always recommend. But the main thing that I'm trying to do right now is eliminate friction. I'm trying to cut out parts of my editing process. I'm trying to cut out the amount of gear I need to carry, the amount of distractions that I have, and just kind of setting a camera up and filming. I'm trying to take out any elements that make me feel uncomfortable when it comes to filming in public. When you start off doing anything, you get to this point where you're learning, you have nothing, maybe you don't want to make that real big investment. Then you get into it and you start thinking you need all these different things. And then after a while, you kind of figure out, okay, this is all I really need. Like, yes, there's a lot of options. People talk about, well, it has this feature, it has that feature, whether it be computers or fishing or golf or, whatever it is. You think you need all this stuff, then you figure out what your use case is, and then you can start consolidating based on what your actual needs are. I know what I want to film. I know how I want to film it. And yes, there are a lot of different types of tools I could use, but if I'm really honest with myself, these two cameras are kind of all I need. I got something that gives me a lot on the wide end with the 360. If I want to get tighter and I want to have a little blurrier background and make it look a little cinematic, then I grab the Osmo Pocket 3, I hit the zoom, and then I can do that. Like, it's not going to be perfect. Like, there's always going to be a trade-off. You're making a decision between what you want, what you can afford, what's available, and what's realistic for your actual life, what your actual workflow is. There's a decent chance that I may actually go ahead and get rid of the Sony camera at some point. And the main reason why I even keep it around is because I just don't have the lighting in here that I would like, and I need something for low light situations. But if either one of these cameras had a larger sensor that really performed better in low light, I wouldn't bother. There are people who have lighter skin who can get away with things that I cannot with certain cameras. And if they had my setup, they might not need the lighting that I need. And it's one of those things that people don't really talk about when they're selling you gear. They don't talk about your skin tone and how that's going to affect what the sensor does, but that's just a reality. That's something that I have learned through experience, and that's what I know I need. I can't not light myself at all. However, if you can get by with some other system, if you figure out that your phone is perfect, or you figure out then just the 360 camera is perfect, or you think the Pocket 3 is perfect, or even the older versions of any of these cameras, then there's no reason you can't use them. I started this channel with the Osmo Pocket 1, and I go back to that because I want you to understand how truly passionate I am about focusing on the storytelling. Because I told myself, if the storytelling isn't going to sell it, then there's no camera that will. These other features can maybe distract the eye for a bit, but it's not going to hold up if I'm not genuinely interesting, if people don't like what I'm putting out. So what's the point in spending the money? We have gone out, we have learned, we've experimented, we figured out some things, and now we're kind of bringing it back and we're saying, hey, maybe I don't need to use the Sony ZV-E10 all the time. And quite possibly, maybe I can cut it out entirely. If you're making what you're making and you're happy with what you're doing, now it's time to start trying to figure out efficiencies, because that's going to be the difference between where you are and where you want to be in terms of putting out content. Because putting out content is just a little bit different than putting out art. Content kind of requires you to be aware of the audience and metrics and volume and things like that. Whereas art, like when I make Dad's Diaries, to me, that's art. I don't care if people totally shun that, if people don't like it. Like, that's what I really want to make. But then I make a video like this where I talk about a camera, and that's what people are interested in. So this to me is like content. Content needs to be a little bit more frequent, but art is always coming behind it, because art is what drives me as a creative. And if I can't do art, then I don't want to do any of it. And by consolidating my gear and my workflow, I think I'm getting a little bit closer to being where I want to be in terms of being able to do so. I can't recommend that you buy this camera over a different camera. At this point, I have to use both. So I'm just telling you where I am, but make whatever decision is best for you. If you're interested in checking out the Insta360 X5, there's a link in my description. It's Amazon affiliate link. I'll get a kickback if you purchase it. If not, maybe now is not the time. Definitely check out the older cameras. The main reason why I bought the X5 over the older versions is just because of the interchangeable lenses. Like, that feature is so important if you're going to use this camera the way it was intended to be used. If you're buying certain types of cameras, if you're buying a camera in general and you're not going to use it the way it was intended for, there's no reason to make that purchase. With that said, my name is Aaron. I make content in my life as a recently divorced single dad and creative entrepreneur. If you want to continue on this journey with me, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.